Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston Autoblog. It's not too often that I get up very early to feature a crossover on the channel, but today is going to be a very special review as we take a look at the 2021 Porsche Cayenne GTS. Now, throughout this entire year, we've taken a look at a lot of crossovers, whether it's the BMW X3 M40i, Alfa Romeo Stelvio, Audi SQ7, or the very luxurious Cadillac Escalade, which I was actually very impressed by. But I'm actually really excited and enthusiastic to take a look at the Porsche Cayenne, because Porsche is all about the driving dynamics, driving handling, and the excitement behind the wheel. And in the very short amount of time I've driven this crossover right here, I am most certainly captivated. One of the concerns many car enthusiasts have had very recently is the fact that it appears as though crossovers are dominating every aspect of our lives. It started off with compact and subcompact crossovers that really drew in a lot of Americans due to the practicality but also the value for the price. Then these brands give us sporty crossovers that make car enthusiasts like myself question, is it worth holding on to sports sedans and sports coupes when I'm going to need to get rid of those cars within about 5 years or so when I have a family and I need something a little more practical? But vehicles like the Cayenne GTS really quell those concerns, because now I have a V8 under the hood, I have that amazing sound from the exhaust, and also I have that practicality and space where I can have a family but also enjoy the driving experience on a daily basis. So in this video, we're going to take a good long look at the Porsche Cayenne GTS and see why, if you're looking at buying a sporty crossover above $100,000, maybe buying a Porsche might be a great decision. Now, before I get in this review, I'd like to thank Porsche of Westwood in Westwood, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below so you can check out their extensive Porsche inventory. I'm also going to leave their link to their Instagram account as well, as they're starting to post some really awesome content and there's some really cool cars showing up on inventory. So definitely give them a follow and check out what they have. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. In the automotive world of 2020, performance-oriented and premium luxury brands producing crossovers isn't as much of a surprise today as it was almost 20 years ago. And that really can be attributed to Porsche, who embraced the SUV market with open arms at a time when many brands weren't, by introducing the Cayenne 18 years ago. Among enthusiasts, a four-door Porsche was almost considered blasphemous, let alone the fact that it was a crossover designed to take on the BMW X5 and Mercedes-Benz ML class. Despite the controversial and forward-thinking decision, the Cayenne has helped redefine the modern-day Porsche enthusiast and customer. But even better, Porsche still found a way to inject its sports car DNA and proud history into this crossover to mesmerize and captivate even the most purist Porsche buyer. Starting off with pricing, the Cayenne GTS comes in at $107,300. But our model for this review has additional packages and options equipped, bringing the total to $134,000. Aside from the obvious price difference, the Cayenne differs greatly from its smaller sibling, the Macan, when it comes to exterior and interior dimensions along with its ride height, to make this mid-size crossover the more practical option between the two. The Cayenne is about 9 inches longer and 2 inches wider than the Macan, to have a size almost identical to the BMW X5. For ground clearance, you're looking at right around 7 inches, but thanks to the optional air ride suspension, you can take on deep snow with confidence if the Cayenne is going to be your daily driver. However, even in its lowest setting, the Cayenne will feel much larger than the Macan, and that's also in conjunction with the higher seating position for the driver and front passenger. As we take a look at the exterior, adding some uniqueness to this Cayenne is the optional $3,150 chalk body color paint that certainly draws you in immediately, especially with the gloss black bits that contrast very well with the overall look of this crossover. To help distinguish the GTS over the base and S trims, the Cayenne sits a bit lower, making it more aggressive despite very minor cosmetic differences compared to other variants. However, bringing a 911-like road presence to this midsize crossover are fully functional grilles for a more aerodynamic and modern design, while the Matrix LED headlights will help illuminate dimly lit roads when driving at night, and also providing a premium luxury look to the Cayenne. Moving over to the side profile, our model is sitting on the optional 22-inch 5-spoke gloss black Cayenne Sport Classic wheels, adding a very nice contrast to the chalk exterior paint color. As mentioned earlier, the Cayenne does have air ride suspension, which will affect the road presence of this crossover, but for video purposes, I kept the suspension in its lowest setting. You'll get body color folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators to go along blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, in true Porsche fashion, the C-pillar architecture and rear third of the Cayenne has a flowing roofline and rear fascia that isn't as pronounced as the Coupe variant, but most certainly sportier than most crossovers in this segment. Crafted to have a 911-inspired road presence, the LED taillight design blends in perfectly with the overall look, and giving the Cayenne performance crossover credentials is the quad exhaust outlets to complete the menacing road presence the GTS has. Under the hood, the Cayenne GTS is powered by a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine that puts out 453 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Obviously, with a GTS badge, the Cayenne is going to be very quick, and with the Sport Chrono package, this midsize crossover can achieve a 0 to 60 time of around 4.2 seconds, according to Car and Driver. When compared to other performance crossovers in this segment and price range, the GTS is certainly not the quickest. However, power and acceleration is more than sufficient, and the driving dynamics and handling certainly makes up for where it might fall short amongst its rivals. For the drivetrain, you'll have all-wheel drive for year-round versatility, which should appeal to drivers looking for a fun daily during the colder months. For fuel economy, you can expect to receive right around 15 miles per gallon in the city and 19 miles per gallon on the highway. Inside, we're greeted by a two-tone leather interior in graphite blue and chalk for a classy and welcoming interior. This model has 14-way power-adjustable heated and ventilated leather seats for both the driver and passenger, to go along with 3-position memory for added convenience. Bringing a traditional Porsche look to the cabin with a modern twist is the analog and digital gauge cluster that provides a nice compromise for purists who prefer old-school design. Mounted on the heated leather-wrapped steering wheel are buttons that control both digital displays, where you can access information such as your lap time, fuel efficiency, G-force meter, and navigation system, to name a few. In an era of fully digital gauge clusters, it's refreshing to see Porsche take a different approach to modern design. Moving over to the infotainment system, a 12.3-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with onboard navigation blends in nicely with the overall layout of the interior. Resolution and responsiveness is what you'd expect from the Volkswagen Audi family of brands, as quality is top-notch. If you prefer not using the touchscreen at all times, there will be quick access buttons found on the center console that can quickly and easily get you to different menus. There will also be a small rotary dial which will be useful to help you navigate through this user interface while driving. The infotainment system is actually very in-depth, where you can customize all the displays found inside the Cayenne, while also setting the climate control for the rear passengers, and of course finding the right ambient lighting to set the mood during your time behind the wheel. Where I spent most of my time was the drive mode selector, where you can control chassis height, the different drive modes you're in, and even opening or closing the valves for the exhaust system, which for me will always be open for the best sound. Equipped on this Cayenne is a surround view camera system for enhanced safety when parking this crossover, as you have a top view, side view, front-facing camera, and rear backup camera with trajectory to give you the peace of mind knowing you're not going to get yourself into trouble when navigating tight streets. Returning to the center console, you'll find the buttons for the dual-zone climate control up front and the 3-level heated and ventilated seats. And overall, this is still a very clean design despite going more modern compared to last generation. For the center storage compartment, you'll have a cubby for your smartphone, and you'll also find 2 USB inputs. And rounding out the front seating area, above will be a panoramic moonroof, which will let in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now, before moving on from the infotainment system and the dashboard layout, what I really want to point out here is the fact that Porsche tends to go their own way when it comes to interior and exterior design. And I can really appreciate that as a car enthusiast and as a member of the Volkswagen Audi family who owns a Volkswagen. And when you check out Audi products, you notice that there's a lot of part sharing with Volkswagen. You can definitely see that. But you'd have to look very closely to realize that the Cayenne is closely related to the Q7, Q8, and also the Bentley Bentayga and Lamborghini Urus, whereas with the Audi Q8, it's a more affordable version of the Lamborghini Urus, and you can definitely see that. Porsche just has this great way of being very unique despite sharing platforms. And it starts off with the infotainment system, but also the center console layout, because in the Q7 and Q8 you have dual touchscreens, whereas with the center console for the Cayenne, it's very traditional, not the same as the older Porsches that had more of a cockpit-like feel, like you're in a fighter jet, but you still have the same button layouts. It's just more modernized, and I definitely like that. They're staying true to who they are, and also, of course, it stays true to where the consumers like it. Porsche enthusiasts love that center console design, but then it also leads to the gauge cluster, because it's not like Audi's virtual cockpit, and Volkswagen is doing the exact same thing, and we're seeing that with a Lamborghini as well. But Porsche sticks to tradition, and it definitely speaks volumes as to where this brand is heading. Even though everything's moving in the direction of electric technology and also really going in that more futuristic design, Porsche still is giving drivers and Porsche enthusiasts a cockpit feel that reminds them of Porsches of the past, while also giving us technology of the 21st century. Now, for passengers in the back, we're going to start off on the driver's side, and I adjusted the seat to someone of my head around 5'5", and I have plenty of legroom to work with here. Now, of course, I am 5'5", so definitely keep that in mind when you're looking at buying a Cayenne for you and your family. But what I do want to point out, though, and I don't know if it's really showing on camera, is the fact that the rear seats sit very low, so it maximizes the amount of headroom you have here, and the Cayenne is definitely more coupe-like. Even though you have a coupe option, it definitely has a lower roofline. Even with this panoramic sunroof, I still have a lot of headroom. I think a lot of people are maybe like 5'9", 5'10", could most certainly be comfortable back here for sure. Now, for the center seat, there's some great placements for my feet. Now, I think the only question is shoulder room. Can you fit a third person here practically? Because I think legroom is more than adequate. I do think that if you have average size adults, maybe even 3 kids, it could most certainly work. I truly believe that. This is actually a decently sized vehicle where you could have a third person on a daily basis back here, and definitely on the rare occasion. And then for the passenger side, I adjust the seat all the way back. It's also on a recline, and I still have a few inches of legroom to work with here. So if you have a very tall front passenger and even a driver, I don't think people around my height are going to be very squished. I think you could fit someone maybe around 5'7", 5'8", and they'd still be comfortable in this position. Obviously, it's not ideal. You want to have a little more room, but this is definitely impressive for a 2-row crossover, so I definitely like that. Also back here, you will get 2 rear air vents to go along with dual zone climate control back here with the options to scroll through where you want the air to be flowing on you. Also, 3 level heated outboard seats. We also have a 12-volt outlet, 2 USB-C inputs, and rounding out the rear seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now coming around to the back, you will get a power lift gate, but we're going to leave it open because it beeps when you open as if you're backing up a truck, so I don't want that going up on my audio. But inside, you're going to find right around 27 cubic feet of rear cargo space, which is about a 5 cubic foot difference compared to the Coupe variant. And then with the rear seats folded down, that space will more than double in size to right around 54 cubic feet. So this is really the reason why you buy a Cayenne GTS or a Cayenne in general. Because if you're looking for a Porsche, but a 911 isn't going to do the job because you have a family, then the Cayenne definitely becomes a very appealing option. But also, on the very rare occasion that you might take your GTS on a rally or a cruise with other car enthusiasts, the Cayenne actually becomes a support vehicle of sorts, so you have plenty of room for any additional gear. And I understand most likely the Cayenne GTS will be your daily driver when your 911 is in storage during the winter, but it's still great to know that the Cayenne is a great all-around vehicle, whether it's the summer or winter. Also, on the left side of the rear cargo area, you are going to find some netting, which is perfect to keep your car detailing equipment or some water bottles in place while you're driving on a very spirited drive on some back roads. And then on the right side, you're going to notice 2 buttons that will lift and lower the rear suspension, which is perfect if you have any heavier items that you're going to be lifting into the back of the Cayenne that could also scrape the rear bumper. So it definitely adds a convenience to owning this vehicle, and something you expect to see with a vehicle priced around $134,000. And then also my really personal favorite feature here is the rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear with you, or you're maybe on a rally or a weekend vacation with your family, you can leave the luggage back here and have that peace of mind knowing that no one will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And then once you're done, just press the button and the liftgate will close automatically. All right, so we're about to take the Porsche Cayenne GTS out for a very, very quick test drive. Once again, huge thank you to Porsche of Westwood for giving me this opportunity. I was not expecting to do this today, so this is gonna be pretty awesome. Sounds so good. Of course, we're gonna have this in Sport Plus mode the entire time. And we're also going to have the chassis on Sport Plus as well, because that's the way I roll. I do not go comfort, I do not go normal. We're going the whole 9 yards for this one. So in the very short amount of time I have driven this vehicle, I'm already in love, and now I'm given the opportunity to really experience what the Cayenne GTS has to offer. Oh my gosh, this wouldn't get old at all. Now let's talk about interior layout while I'm stuck at a red light. And once again, with Porsche, they've done it in a way where it's very unique. It's not like Audi or Volkswagen, although I like the way the infotainment system is set up. It's not at eye level. Again, it kind of blends right into the dashboard. I definitely like that. Also, more importantly, it's not stuck on the dashboard like a secondary piece, which to me makes some of these vehicles look very cheap. So I like the way it's just blended into the dashboard, very nicely set in, and it kind of flows right into the center console. So I definitely like that. It's not distracting at all. We also have a head-up display as well, which is very well illuminated, tells me what the speed limit is, so I know if I'm gonna get myself into trouble, that I should probably slow down. Now, a lot of journalists make a big deal about having to upgrade to the better sound system, but when you have an exhaust note that sounds like this, there's no reason to have your radio on at all. This is my radio. All right, see how the turning radius is? Nice and smooth. Oh my gosh. Wow. unbelievable. 0 to 60 in right around 4.2 seconds. Incredible. There's just an incredible feeling. It throws you back in your seat, and what I will say is this: I've driven a lot of BMW M models, such as like the X3 M40i. I've driven the X5 M before. It doesn't throw you back in your seat like this. This is raw. This is a raw feeling for a crossover, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. The thing is too is that you have the confidence to throw this in the corner and go fast if you want to. This is a vehicle where even when you're by yourself, the family's not with you, you can have a lot of fun on some back roads for sure. And I think that's what the whole point is with the Cayenne GTS and even the Cayenne Turbo, is the fact that you can have a lot of fun with these vehicles during the winter or just on a daily basis when you're going to work. That's what I love about this. And you don't necessarily need to buy another sports car. This is everything. It's your daily driver and your sports car. And I can just throw this into the corners with ease. Very limited body roll. I love this. I'm absolutely in love with this. I think honestly, very quickly, I'm understanding what Porsche is all about here, because I've only driven 2 Porsches in my life and they've both been crossovers, but the Cayenne, there's something raw about this. There's something to it. It's not like it's not sedated. It's not numb. And I love that. I absolutely love that with this crossover. And even with the sports tune suspension, you feel as though that you are in somewhat of a sports car, even though you're higher up off the ground. I wish I could spend more time with this crossover, because I think if you're looking for a great driving experience, practicality, and everything all together blended in one, that's exactly what the Cayenne GTS is going to offer you. It's everything you're looking for. It's a great blend, but I think it's better than what you experience with BMW. I think BMW, even though we say it's a great driver's vehicle, this feels definitely more raw, less electronic. And I like that. I've never felt that before in the crossovers I've driven so far in the last 3 years of doing Boston Auto Blog. This is definitely very special. This is a very special vehicle. And I do understand that if you are a Porsche 911 owner and you want to, have a car that definitely feels like your sports car that you drive during the summer, I think the Cayenne is definitely a great vehicle to go with. I'm just going to do one little bit more loop around the back roads here before I park it out front, but wow, I am stunned. I am stunned. I thought this was going to be like other crossovers, but it's not. I'm truly impressed with this. Steering too. Now, it's smooth. It's tight and it's smooth. And it's not, again, it's not electronic. There's something real to it. This car has some soul, and it's touching my soul as a driver. And I just have to say, this is what driving is all about. If I am going to be stuck driving a crossover the rest of my life, if I have a family, this is what I'm looking for. And I am just in complete shock right now. I was not expecting this at all. I do think that if you are comparing a Cayenne GTS to, say, a BMW X5M, you have to do a lot of thinking for sure. And I understand that this isn't the fastest crossover on the market in its price range. Because like the BMW X5, you're talking a 0 to 60 time around 3.8 seconds, whereas this is around 4.2. And I understand that's 0.4 of a second, but there's definitely something more to this for sure. If you're not all about the speed, but you're about the driving dynamics, the feeling, the soul, and the passion, then Porsche has you covered. And I have to say, I'm really digging this for sure. I'm falling in love with what Porsche has here. Now, once again, huge thank you to Porsche of Westford for just giving me this very rare opportunity to drive this car. There's something special about Porsches, and even to this day, when you have all this technology being instilled in these vehicles, and you have a lot more of that technology aspect for the infotainment system and the gauge clusters, it's still great to see that Porsche still gives you a great driving experience for the 21st century. And I have to say that if you're going to be comparing this to other German brands, I think you have to spend a lot of time with the Porsche Cayenne GTS, because it is awesome. So at the end of the day, what I can truly appreciate about the Porsche Cayenne GTS is the fact that it's not just another crossover from the Volkswagen Audi family. And what I like the most too is that when it comes to the exterior and interior design, it's all different. It's not a Lamborghini Urus. It's not an Audi Q7 or Q8. It's its own entity. And in a time when we see a lot of platform sharing, a lot of part sharing, it's great to see that Porsche still stays true to who they are. And it adds to their tradition and also their lore, and why I think Porsche enthusiasts are so prideful about their vehicles, because they are, in their own way, unique and set aside from everyone else. When it comes to the dashboard layout, the infotainment system, the gauge cluster, you just don't see this from Audi or Bentley or Lamborghini. I like the fact that we still have this old school setup. But also when it comes to the center console, even though it's more digitalized, it's more modernized, it still has that same layout that we saw in the older Cayenne. And I think a lot of consumers, a lot of Porsche fans can definitely appreciate that. But I just think that at the end of the day, the GTS really gives me hope as a car enthusiast that I can still have some fun behind the wheel, even if I have a family and more than one person inside this vehicle with me. It definitely, makes me feel good about aging for sure. But the driving dynamics, the handling, the sound this vehicle makes with the V8 engine, it's captivating. It draws you in immediately, and that's what you expect with a Porsche. Porsche is all about the driving experience and driving dynamics, more so than BMW. And I think, even though I'm a BMW fan, Porsche still finds a way to make their vehicles drive better, handle better. There's something about this crossover that I just can't fully explain, but it's enjoyable to drive, and most certainly a vehicle that you have to go and to your nearest Porsche dealership and test drive, because I have to say, spending a few hours with this vehicle was certainly not enough. And now I completely understand what Porsche enthusiasts are really on about with their vehicles. There's something special about them. There's something unique. And for me, I am most certainly captivated with what Porsche has done with the GTS. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys next time.